Dr. Siti Yuliandi Ahmad from the International Islamic University Malaysia to lead this session.
All right, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Industrious Speaker Sessions at the Global Tourism Conference 2025 here in the beautiful Fraser Hills. So I'm your moderator, Dr. Siti Yuliandi binti Ahmad, representing from the International Islamic University Malaysia. We will have our sessions titled The New Phase of Ecotourism, Sustainable Innovations in a Changing World. It is great honor for us to introduce our speaker for today, Professor Vic. Professor Vic is a recognized sustainable tourism expert whose career is marked by prodigious output with over 350 publications. His current role are diverse and influential. It is Deputy Vice Chancellor of University Malaysia of Computer Science and Engineering UNIMI and adjunct professors at Wawasan Open University. Furthermore, his deep commitment to preserving our planet's natural asset is evidenced by his significant involvement in the Malaysia's Ecotourism Association. Prof. V also held key academic and leadership roles in Malaysia and Bahamas, bringing a wide international perspective to this crucial subject. Please join me in offering a warm welcome to Prof. Venus Warrens Nair. Okay, Prof. Vic, the floor is yours. We eagerly anticipate your insights on the new phase of ecotourism, sustainable innovation in a changing world. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good afternoon. We've just passed the 12 mark, so I know I'm in between your lunch, so I will try to make it as precise as possible. Firstly, thank you to the organizer, UMT, for the invite to speak here today. Although it's parked under as industry talk, but it's not going to be really an industry, but it's going to be a mix because of my experience in the association, in the Malaysian Association of Hotel, at the same time in my 30 years in the academy. So currently, as what the MCA mentioned, I've just moved quite recently to University of Malaysia of Computer Science and Engineering. And I was in the past with Wawasan Open University in Penang. And then I've traveled quite a bit. If you look at the screen here, so this is a snapshot of my last 30 years. I was based in Taylor's University for the last 20 years before I moved to the Caribbean. I was at the University of the Bahamas, managing the postgraduate program over there. At the same time, also working closely with the Tourism Development Corporation of the Bahamas. So I had the chance and opportunity to develop a community-based tourism program for the Bahamas under their people-to-people program. And so that experience was really good. And my 5 years in the Caribbean allowed me to work in a lot of United Nations projects, UNDP programs. So that positioned me well. When I returned after COVID, I moved back to Malaysia, to Penang. I was based in Penang for 5 years at Wawasan Open University before I decided to change to another university of late. At the beginning of this month, I moved to UNIMI, University of Malaysia of Computer Science and Engineering. So it's a technological university. So many people ask me, if you are an ecotourism, rural tourism expert, why are you in a technology university? Okay. So UNIMI is a very focused university. They run about 25 programs, right from diploma all the way to PhD, very focused on computer science and engineering only. So we run AI, the latest AI programs, technology-related program, gaming program, cybersecurity and everything. So if you look at where the world has moved now, even tourism, technology is driving the industry now. So moving into a university where the focus is technology is going to allow me to develop the tourism industry even further. And my second degree, my master's and PhD, is in systems engineering. So I have a technological background, I have an engineering background, but how I came into tourism is applying my system knowledge into tourism. That was what my PhD was. My PhD research was on AI. This back in 1998, when I did my PhD, we talked about AI, at expert system and AI. So that is how I started my work and applied that into the tourism industry. So it's a very indirect way of coming into the tourism industry. All right, so let's jump straight to the topic today. Interesting morning session we had, very good session. Bob McCatcher's presentation just now on where the tourism industry is actually moving currently. So if you look at where we are currently, there's a lot of disruption that has happened since COVID to where we are now. Key global disruption. First, you have the post-COVID-19 reset. We talked about the new norm, okay? But as what Bob mentioned, are we really going to a new norm, or we are going back to the same norm that we have been so used to? So with travelers seeking, there are changes, okay, since COVID, because travelers now are seeking safety, authenticity, and also sustainability. So this has become an important aspect, especially the younger generation. If you see now, this has become the focus. Then, of course, the issue of climate change, okay, climate crisis. Every journey must now justify the footprint, including tourism. So that is the way forward. But are we still moving towards there? The SDG is coming to an end soon, okay? So what is next after the SDG? Of course, there's something new is coming after the SDG completes, it ends very soon. Digital disruption. So this is something that has taken the world by storm after COVID. After COVID, it has pushed the pace of transformation as far as AI is concerned, the use of technology in teaching is concerned. So if you look at this, AI, virtualization, and smart technology is the way forward for the tourism industry. So before I get into that, I mentioned this in my brief remark at the opening. When you talk about rural tourism development, how do you sustain a rural tourism development? You can only sustain the rural tourism development if you have these three core products. The primary product, the secondary or the ancillary product, and the augmented product. If you do not have these three things parallel, or these three things running side by side, you will have a failed model. And if you look at where we are at Fraser's Hill, this is the problem that we face, because Fraser's Hill falls under rural tourism. It is a rural tourism product, but we do not align these three things together. So how do you align these three things together? So if you look at the three circles here, all these three circles must be well aligned. If these three circles are not aligned, you will have an unsustainable rural tourism product. Micro product, what is special about Fraser's Hill? Why should someone take the 2 hours journey from Kuala Lumpur, get to the winding road, struggle through the journey and reach here? There must be something unique over here for them to come over here. Ancillary product, do you have enough support system? This is what I mentioned to you earlier as well, to support the different demographic of tourists that is coming here. And then the last one, the macro, the augmented product, the linkages. And I park technology inside here. Technology is part of the red circle that you see. So this has become part and parcel of the tourism industry, including the ecotourism industry. So if you look at this diagram here, from ecotourism to eco-responsibility, okay? You're trying to make ecotourism more responsible. If you look at the very definition of ecotourism, the responsibility was already there. But what's happening on many destinations, there's always a mix or of a greenwashing as far as ecotourism is concerned. It's an age-old debate when we talk about ecotourism. So the term ecotourism is being stretched. It now demands more accountability. Okay? From nature-based, what we are pushing now is more value-based. What is the value that you get when a destination is open to the tourists? When they come to a destination like Fraser's Hill, it says some value, it says some learning or not. Isolated activities to integrated sustainability. Okay, we talked about ESG. We talk about being environmentally friendly in what we do in the hotel, the plastic use and all that thing that we've discussed today. So how do we integrate all this together? Visitor-centered to community-centered. It's not all about the tourists. It's also about the community. What do you give back? The regenerative tourism that we talk about. So what is your giving back? So eco-responsibility is not an option. It is the only future for tourism to sustain in the long term. So if you look at the eco-responsibility here, there are 7 areas that I want to discuss with you today. Key developments: digital eco-experience, carbon label travel, regenerative tourism, tech-enhanced visitor management, community-led booking platform, eco-certification upgrades, and smart and green infrastructure. So let's look at this one by one. The first one, digital eco-experience. So if you look at this, digital experiences such as virtual tours and live streams give people the chance to connect with the nature without traveling. They reduce carbon emission, make ecotourism more inclusive, and allow sites to reach global audience beyond physical limits. So if you look at Fraser's Hill, we are trying to find the right balance. We heard the session in the morning. There's 500 people, 500 communities staying here. And what is the capacity? I'm quite interested to also find out if there's a carrying capacity study done over here to see what is the actual capacity to attract tourists and have a good experience over here. Because if you see what's happening in Cameron Highlands and Genting Highlands during the peak season with the traffic jam and the massive issues that they have at the hilltop, you don't want that here in Fraser's. So the limit is important because the challenge to get up here as well. So how do you manage this experience? So one way is, of course, the digital eco-experience. So tourists can actually have the similar experience, the digital experience, before even coming over here. So what happens is, in many destinations now, a promotion is done, a digital eco. Okay, someone live. So digital experience is important to give the experience to the tourists before they even come to the destination. So, so this is one way of promoting and one way of also to manage the seasonality. So Fraser's Hill is packed over the weekend, okay, over the weekend and over the long holiday season. But when it comes to weekdays like what we are now, they rely on activities. And without activities, there's no tourists. So in fact, this is the biggest activities that they have now over this week. I'm not sure whether over the next few weeks, is there anything major that is happening. So the digital experience can be experienced by people before even they come over here to actually attract the tourists to come over here on different seasons. And what is the attraction? If you talk about birds, okay, Fraser's Hill is known for bird watching, but it is only 3 days in a year. So what happened to the rest of the day? You got a very impressive interpretive center over here, which I saw today morning. But how can you bring that back to the city? How do you do to have the sounds of the bird incorporated in to make an immersive learning for the tourists before they even come? So there is an opportunity to bring the eco experience digitally. It's possible now with the technology that we have currently. Next, carbon label travel. Technology is not the enemy of nature, okay? It can be a partner, but we must deploy the right tools, not for novelty, but to improve accountability, efficiency, and also sustainability. So this talk on ESG, you see there's a lot of ESG certification that is going. But if you have noticed, you don't see so much ESG talks or certification in tourism. No one talks about tourism. There's a lot of ESG happening now in the manufacturing sector. But why isn't there a policy in place to actually start looking at ESG for the tourism enterprises? So this is an area that is still an area that we have to look at. I think the tourism industry has still a lot to play because we are one of the biggest contributors as well as far as carbon is concerned due to the travel and how much of carbon offsetting that we do. Yes, some airlines, they do it, but you don't see accommodation sectors moving strongly into this area yet. But and if you've seen the statistics and the graph from Bob just now, where we are now and where we are heading currently, with COVID, we expected to reset and go back to better way of managing tourism, but we have not. We have not gone to that yet. Regenerative tourism. So this is another concept that has been around for a while, but it has come up strongly after COVID. Regenerative tourism takes us beyond simply reducing negative impact. Its goal is to actively restore ecosystem and enhance the well-being of local community. So if you look at the very concept of regenerative tourism versus sustainable tourism, if you look at the concept of sustainable tourism, look at the English term, sustain. What does sustain means? To maintain. What does maintain means? I want to achieve a net zero. Not improve, not go bad, but maintain. The challenge with the whole concept of sustainability is when your aim is just to maintain, you have one incident or one bad situation, for instance, COVID, from sustain, you can just go down. Okay, you can go down economically. Okay, environmentally, yes, you're safe because there's no one traveling, but socially it can impact you, economically it can impact you. The concept of regenerative tourism is a net positive game. You always make sure you are always doing something positive, net positive, so that if you happen to reach a situation which is bad, it is going to come down slightly, but you are still at the positive side. So that is what regenerative is all about. So how do you promote regenerative tourism? It's a contribution that you do. So every tourist that is coming, especially to ecotourism destination, must contribute back to the destination. Okay, not just come there to have fun. Yes, as what Bob mentioned, you must play, you must enjoy, but there is also a contribution. What is your contribution to the destination when you come to an eco destination like this? Are you learning something from this destination, and are you learning and taking it back to your place? So these are all important part of the whole concept of regenerative tourism. Then we have the tech-enhanced visitor management. So this has become more and more important in every ecotourism destination that you go now. Technology in tourism management plays a vital role in regulating visitor flows and also protecting fragile natural sites. It ensures tourism growth does not come to the cost of ecological damage. So Fraser's Hill is not a huge destination. So for technology to manage efficiently, yes, you can. But one of the most fundamental now for technology development everywhere is availability of network. So Wi-Fi has become part and parcel of our life currently. So even tourism. So if you look at in Fraser's Hill, that is one of the challenges that we have. Limited Wi-Fi connection. So that becomes a problem if you want to move into tech-enhanced visitor management in the trail. Okay, there's interesting trail over here. So if you see the discussion today morning from Tourism Pahang, if there's an emergency, the question that you asked. So what is the way to communicate? So if your technology is down here, you can't even call the 999 even in the jungle. That's a problem. So there must be a proper connectivity before we can even move into this. So Fraser's Hill is not a big destination, so it is a small location that you can, but there must be private sector involvement here again. Community-led booking platform. So if you see, community-led platform demonstrates how digital innovation can deliver both economic fairness and environmental responsibility in tourism. There are a lot of communities not able to reach out because they do not have the means to do it. So community-led booking platform can be developed easily now with technology, where you have a standard platform for the local community to promote their product or promote the stays or promote their tourism products over there. So there are mechanisms that is in place, very popular in all over in Europe. In Malaysia, if you see the Tanah Aina resorts have already started doing that. You have a lot of resorts even in Sabah and Sarawak moving into community-led. If you move into Kinabatangan, the Misowalai community, they have a very strong cooperative model and a very strong community-led booking platform. So you have many communities already using technology to enhance it. And then you have the eco-certification. After COVID-19, eco-certification have gone beyond environmental measures to also integrate public health, biodiversity protection, and social inclusion. So this reflects the broader definition of what makes tourism sustainable today. So in Malaysia, we have talked a lot about this certification. Even under the Malaysian Ecotourism Association, we have talked about this certification for a long, long time. But up to today, there is none. We do not have a solid eco-certification that has come up in Malaysia. There's a lot of this labeling out there across the globe, but nothing has actually worked over here. And with the changes that is happening now in the country, the National Ecotourism Plan is coming to an end. Hopefully there's another set of ecotourism plan that will be rolled out. But again, what is the future in terms of certification? How do we upgrade and how do we ensure the quality of this eco-destination? Smart green infrastructure. Smart infrastructure in ecotourism brings together your green energy, your renewable energy, your waste reduction, waste harvesting. Okay, so it is designed to minimize ecological impact while enhancing the visitor experience. So in a destination where the environment is your advantage, green has to be the number one approach in your energy. So in a destination like Fraser's Hill, this is where you have to focus on. So there's not much of solar is utilized over here. Again, the public sector involvement becomes important. So if you see, we talked about the three pillars of sustainability, where ecotourism is smack in the middle, which is what Professor Makacha have mentioned today morning as well. So if you see the three P's, the planet, the people, the profit, or the prosperity that you say, okay, the environment, the social and economy. But there's always the one more P that messes up these three P's. We can have the best of the three P's, but the one piece that messes up the whole balance. What is the one P you think that's going to balance, that's going to damage the three P's? Anyone? One more P that is going to damage the balance of this three P if you do not have it. The politics, the purpose, the principle of governance, the policy. Many destinations cannot be sustained because of this fourth P. We always are so focused on the three P's, but we forget about the fourth P. And if you ask me personally, where Fraser's Hill now is, the challenge that we are facing is the fourth P. Okay, we have a good environment, good community. Okay, in terms of economy, there are a lot of local communities over here. There's a lot of hotels over here. There's restaurants over here. But cannot sustain. There's a lot of problem with the policies and the politics over here. So we see, when you talk about the policies here, policy makers play a critical role in steering economic ecotourism innovation by setting standards, providing incentives, and ensuring the growth aligns with sustainability and community well-being. Policy on digital experience, okay? To do that, you need fund, okay? Fund and incentives for this development of digital platform. For Wi-Fi to work, you need fund. You need the telecommunication center to be committed to come here. So to maintain the conservation visibility, especially during crisis, okay, this is important. So money, politics. So we see, those of you who've been here to Fraser's Hill in the past, you would know the roads coming up here was not as good. The road was good today. Why was the road was good today? Because we had some important visitors over the last few weeks. Hence, the road was developed. So, again, the politics, policies, process, procedures. So all this comes into play. Secondly, carbon level travel. What's the policy? Do we have such policy in place in a hill resort? All hill resort in Malaysia must have this in place. Mandate a standardized carbon disclosure for all operators. We shouldn't be seeing all these bottles here as well, because we are in an eco-friendly destination. So there must be a focus to empower, to inform the consumers as well, what they can and what they cannot do. Regenerative tourism, I talked about it just now. Policy action here. Provide grants or tax relief for tourism enterprises, okay, that want to restore the environment, that wants to give back to the community. There are small community over here. So what is the policy? Is there a tourism tax or tax that is going straight to the community over here? So encourage operators to do more. Number 4, tech-enhanced visitor management. So this comes again tied to the first one, your fund, infrastructure. Okay, how much money is there to invest? Is there money? When you bring a private sector, they're going to look at, is this destination going to make money? If you walked up, I walked over yesterday and I realized there are so many restaurants, outlets there, but all shut. Why shut? They say there's no tourists. They only open over the weekend. So how do you sustain? How do you attract? So that's a big problem over in a destination like this. Community-led booking platform, we talked about it just now. Support the creation of a national or regional platform for small SMEs, okay? From small community-based micro enterprises, because they can't afford a platform. Help them to sell. Have a non-peak season, 50% down. So this place, you have tourists even on non-peak season and it does not go dead. Eco-certification, strengthen eco-certification frameworks. This is something at the national level. I mean, it's something that has to be done at the national level. There's a lot of talk has been there, but it's talk and there's no real action so far. And we hope the upgrade of the national ecotourism will actually focus on this. There's already talk at the ASEAN level ecotourism certification, and hopefully that will roll out at the national level. Smart green infrastructure, this again enforcing the green building code. So how do we enforce that? If you see, the financial industry have gone strongly into ESG, okay? So tourism can do the same, okay? Can do the same. How do you compel all hotels in a fragile location like Fraser's must fulfill this? So this all comes down to policy. And then of course you have the other aspect of technology innovation. I'm not going to dive through the details here. Smart visitor management, green infrastructure, all this can be done using technology, digital platform, immersive educational technologies, biodiversity and conservation tech, data-driven sustain. There's a lot of studies have already been done on here, this area. So my role now at UNIMI, which is a focused computer science and technology, is to focus on this. My aim is to bring this to tourism, to bring the technology innovation, AI into tourism. And that's where my focus is going to be in this new universities. Okay, so this is just a glance through of some of the example, smart visitor management system. You see this a lot in Greece, okay, in Western Greece, Western Crete in Greece, where there's a holistic framework in trying to manage the quality of visitor coming in, visitor perception, carrying capacity. There's already a system in place to manage this. You have AI real-time monitoring of wildlife in UK. You have how they attract these curlew birds and how AI is being used to actually capture this. This can be easily adopted here in a destination like Frasers. You have the drone being utilized widely, even in Malaysia, in Sabah, in managing the restoration areas in Lower Kinabatangan. You have a lot of mangrove conservation done using drone technology currently. You have green infrastructure happening even in Sabah, in the Danum Valley in Sabah, where they are moving very strongly into being an eco-friendly destination. You have Johor Marine Park have gone into microgrid combination, where microgrid solar where is powering their energy utilization in remote locations. Then you have the data-driven sustainability, the ESG and AI for policies. You see the OECD have come up with their own AI in tourism policy last year, and how they are using AI for operationalizing and optimizing visitor flow. So in a destination where the numbers are not high, like Fraser is fine, but how do you optimize the number during off-peak and peak? So your challenge in Frasers is peak. When it's peak in Fraser, it's peak. You get cars all over. That's why you would have noticed the sign at the side, no parking at the side, because people park all over, and that creates a jam. So in conclusion, the future of ecotourism depends on innovation and intent. So if you look here, ecotourism is evolving. Okay, it is changing. Post-COVID, it is changing, but the challenge is we are slowly going back to the previous norm. Our numbers are already exceeding. But have we learned from the past and improved? So that is something that we need to look at. Innovation that I mentioned to you, the 7 key areas where it is very much data-driven, digital focus. Policy is important. That's the 4th P, your politics and policy goes hand in hand. When the politics is right, the policies will be right. If the politics is wrong, the policy is going to go wrong as well. So it's important. Sustainable recovery, okay, resilience. How do you ensure the place is sustained? The opportunity to rebuild, to be fairer, to ensure that we are future ready. So these are part and parcel of what ecotourism can do. So we need to rethink what we are offering in a destination like Frasers. We need to reinvent how we deliver using technology. We have the technology in place. We have AI in place now. How do you use this to your advantage? It's a tool to help you. How do we restore what we use, okay, to give back, okay, the regenerative aspect of it. So that's what the future of ecotourism is going to be. That is the phase of new ecotourism that we need to educate every single visitor coming here, not just the visitor, the government, the operator, okay, everyone, every single person that is coming here. There must be a learning. The very term ecotourism was designed as a learning tool. Okay, it is a learning, there is a learning component. Or else they would have just maintained the term nature-based tourism. Why do they need to come with the term ecotourism? It sounds great? No. It is meant to be educational. But along the way, the education part, the awareness part have disappeared, and the mass have taken over. So there's a lot of things that I've thrown over today, and there's a lot of researchers here as well. There's a lot of opportunities for you to do research in all this area, especially the use of technology, okay? The use of technology in tourism, in ecotourism, and I hope there'll be more studies on this area. There's not much has come from AI and ecotourism, but we are hoping more studies that can come, more collaboration can come, even with my university. If you're a tourism student and you need some assistance in the technology aspect, you want to collaborate, yes, please feel free to contact. So that's my contact. My email is there. That QR is actually my LinkedIn. So you can follow my work, my publication, my talks using the LinkedIn. So that's the best way to actually see what I'm doing, or if you want to collaborate to know what else that we can actually work with. All right? So that's all from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prof. Vic, for a very interesting point where Prof. Vic mentions about the ecotourism is evolving, innovation, 7 key innovations in the ecotourism, the policy support critical, this is sustainable in recovery. So we open for the questions and answers now, but before we open, I think I would like to ask the questions.
Sure.
Because the first points that you mentioned earlier, which are the rural tourism developments, and I believe because you have 20 years experience in rural tourism and ecotourism, so these points are very critical, because when we want to enhance the growth in rural tourism and ecotourism, the 3 key points that you mentioned, and I believe you have lots of consultancy projects. So can you share your experience, especially on the developing rural tourism development, the 3 key points that you mentioned earlier?
The 3 key points.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you look at, before we even go into that, look at the definition of rurality in the context of developed nation like Malaysia. In my past experience working on this program, in this project, you realize that rurality means different in a developing nation versus a developed nation. In a developed nation, rural means countryside. People will pay more to experience rurality because they can't get to feel rurality anymore in many destinations. But in a developed nation, even in Malaysia, when you say rural, there is a negative connotation to rurality. That's a problem. When you have a negative connotation, the challenge is, the first thing coming to mind, rural is so far out, it's not safe. Things will be very cheap, it's not going to be expensive because it's rural. If you charge a 5-star rate for a rural eco-lodge in rural, but you charge like a 5-star rate, you say, what? There's no aircon, there's no nothing here, and you're charging me a premium. That is the first thing you come. You are not paying for the experience. So that is one of the biggest problems in the rural tourism development. So when you develop a rural tourism product, I think that's important. The tourists need to be educated, the education part. So when you talk about rural tourism destination, most rural tourism destinations are also ecotourism destination. So the education, they must be educated before they come to a destination. Okay, this is what you're going to experience in a rural destination. I've done some studies in homestay studies in Selangor. In Selangor, they have the Banghuris homestay, one of the first one to be developed. Of course, it's a bit more commercialized now, but I've had an opportunity to talk to some Korean students who come there. There's a group of Korean students come there for an English camp. Once a year, there's a group comes and stay in Banghuris with the local village. So when I talked to the kids over there, their experience, they were disappointed. They were disappointed not because their experience was the expectation of rural was different. Very different. The Korean students' expectation was really rural. But when they went to Banghoris, the kampong stay there, there's a big flat screen TV in the kampong, satellite TV in the kampong. So they went there, they said, oh, this is it's just an urban setting in a rural environment. So they were disappointed. They said, oh, we expected when it rains, the water will fall in. They wanted real rural experience. So I think it's very important for us to actually, when we talk about rural development, to actually capture what is the essence of rurality that you want to sell. In many parents now, even in KL, they say, oh, my kids have never been to kampong. I want to show them what is real rural life. So they want to have a spot to go. Where do they experience real rurality? So, so when you bring the younger generation to experience rurality, for them, oh, no Wi-Fi, this place is out. I'm totally disconnected immediately. If I try to bring my young daughter over here, the first thing she's going to ask is there Wi-Fi or not? No Wi-Fi? Okay, I'm not coming. She's not coming. So does that mean that you're going to push away this millennial away? No. So that's where technology can play its role for rural tourism, for ecotourism. So there is a way that technology can play to actually assist the different generation, because we have to realize we are in a different generation. Of course, we want it to be still the same, disconnected from the world, but we can't expect the same from everyone. But there must be a right balance in trying to bring technology. That's the reason why also I focus a lot on technology. In fact, the last big project that I did was also on technology, on tourism, develop a tourism barometer to measure the health of rural destination in Malaysia, Peninsula, Sabah and Sarawak. So I know technology is the way forward. If you want to move forward, the high-touch industry is not being replaced by the high-tech. The tech is actually a tool to help you to do better in terms of your high-touch. Because currently, you actually lost the hospitality in many destinations. There's no more hospitality. Why? You're so busy. You're so busy managing. So when you have a tech in place, your AI in place, now let the tech handles those routine job, and I have my face-to-face communication with my guests. I can talk to my guests. So I think these are the thing encapsulate what I was trying to say earlier in terms of finding the right balance and use technology to advantage, because we are in that era currently.
Excellent. Very informative and insightful sharings, right? Because now we are moving to technology, AI, and from it, also from system computer science engineering,
Yes.
masters in engineering. So we would like to open to the floor if you have any questions. Anyone?
Anybody doing a technology in tourism research?
Yes, me. All right. I think I can ask more questions. Is it okay, everyone? Because I love this topic because it's related to innovations. And you mentioned 3 points just now: primary, secondary, and augmented.
Tertiary, yeah.
But when it comes to technology, there is a challenge where it involves cost. So when it comes to rural tourism
Yes.
and technology, and
Yeah.
how do you mitigate that? Because because we
Yeah.
want to improve the rural tourism and ecotourism, but when it comes to costing,
Yes. So this comes to your fourth P just now I mentioned.
quality.
Okay, the fourth P, which can mess up everything. Your fourth P. So, is there a political will to develop a certain destination? So that must be there first. If there is a political will, then you are going to get funding support, private sector involvement is going to come in. If there is none, then you have a problem, because in the 3 areas that I talked to you about, the primary, the secondary, and the tertiary, your technology actually falls under the tertiary. So you must have the tertiary. You must have these 3 things lined up for a rural destination, ecotourism destination, to sustain. If you only have primary, I have the best migratory bird coming to Fraser's Hill. I got a good product here, but everything else falls apart. There's no proper road system, there is no hotels, there's no proper hotels, or the conditions are not good, the experience is not going to be good to come up here, then it's going to fall apart. Still people will not come. So technology can only happen with funding, investment. And in rural destinations, it's always a challenge because for the private sector, can they make money? That's the first thing. So when I did a few rural tourism projects, I did a lot of projects in Sabah and Sarawak. We did with the Barrio community, the Clubit community. We set up the e-Barrio, working closely with University Malaysia of Sarawak. They set up a telecenter to bring Wi-Fi into the village, because only with Wi-Fi we could do a lot more things there. So where the funding came for that? From the Japanese government, the fund from Japan. We accessed the fund from Japan, and that fund helped that village. So again, what is the local, the will locally at the state level and the national level becomes important. So, so how you position like a place like Fraser's Hill in tourism Pahang? Is it an important destination? Or Pahang has so many others? If you walk into our hotel, you see all the brochures at the side there. Okay, they have all the main. So Fraser's Hill is just one small part of one of the. So there is no focus even in Fraser's, even in, sad to say, even in Pahang. So that's a sad part of where Fraser's is, because it is a gem. It is a place that we can do a lot more, and funding is very important for technology to work. And with the era that we are in currently, AI era that we are in, you need the funding. You really need the funding, whether locally or internationally, to actually grow this sector, this area.
All right, excellent. All right, how everyone? Are you excited listening to Prof. Vic sharing about the innovations in technology? I believe the sharing is very helpful, especially we can see that the key 7 innovations in tourism where we can explore deeper,
Yes.
right?
You can use the 7 areas that I showed you to start your research. Look at the 7 and say, which,
yes.
where. So if you have students, master student, PhD student, so that's the 7 areas that you can tell them, okay, look at this area, see what research you can do, and contextualize it to your local area. How can this help an ecotourism destination in your area? Look at, you don't have to do the 7, you can pick one of it and then focus on that.
I think we have one question from the audience.
Hi, thank you, Prof. That was quite an enjoyable, actually, session for geeks, I think. But I'd just like to touch on what you said earlier, the 4th P. And that is quite a challenge, because I'm from Persatuan Alam dan Warisan Bukit Fraser, and that's exactly what we are facing. And when you talk about digital and technology, there have been proposals by us to Tourism Pahang and Majlis to actually set up something as simple as a website where somebody can focus on Fraser's Hill, right? Because now if you search for Fraser's Hill, you will find that the information is everywhere. You can find it on YouTube, TikTok and all that, but you still need that focus. So yeah, it's a challenge when it comes to that, not just in terms of the digital side of it, even like when you talk about ecotourism, you're talking about sustainability and environment and all that. I think the awareness is still lacking in a lot of, I don't know, departments in Malaysia, because I think it's not, I'm not sure how it works there, because I'm sure that the SDG and ESG are all drilled into everybody's departments, you know, in order for them to fulfill, but it doesn't seem like it's coming into action. So in your experience, what do you think, you know, is the solution to this, you know, or if there is any?
I think you need more important visitors to come up here, so that if you see automatically you got the road system done up. So you need regular visitors coming. I mean, jokes aside, but I think the challenge is again coming back to the political will to develop phrases. Having all these technologies all can be done, but there must be a political will to push this through. Because I've been to Fraser's for the last 20 years. I missed the last 5 years since COVID. So after COVID, it's quite interesting for me to come and say, has things improved? It did not. It's still the same. It has gotten worse in some areas, which is a sad part of it. So I think in terms of what can we do, it's very much, I think, at the state level, first of all, Tourism Pahang. That I don't know whether there's anyone is here from Tourism Pahang. Next year is Visit Pahang year and Visit Malaysia year. But I've not seen what is done in Fraser's in prep. You only got a few months away, and nothing significant that you see, okay, we are gearing towards Visit Pahang year or Visit Malaysia year. We are not. The interpretive center I went today was very impressive, actually. That was really good. But the other things that is outside, I think a lot to do. There's also, I understand there's a problem between, there's a responsibility of Tourism Pahang versus the Majlis. That is another challenge.
So we've actually gone all the way to the State Assembly to actually get it back to how it was in Fraser's Hill. So before 1997, it was under Perbadanan Kemajuan Bukit Fraser.
Correct.
And all the taxes that were collected here stayed in Fraser's Hill, and you can see development.
I think that is the way forward. If you leave it with the Majlis and all that, I think it's not going to go anywhere. You need a body that is really focused over here, because currently I think the challenge that when I talked to Tourism Pahang today morning, they mentioned, oh, okay, certain thing is not our jurisdiction, but it's a Majlis job, but they're not doing the job, so things are getting worse and worse and bad. They take the money, but nothing happens. So it's sad to hear this kind of stories, but if you have a body that is really focused on Fraser's, like what you mentioned, I think that is the way forward. So why was the previous setup dismantled? I'm not sure what's the history behind. You've been here long enough.
Yeah, well, they thought that it would be a better idea, and I think at that time, Rao everybody saw the potential of Fraser's Hill, that they could make some money out of it, which is true. Like, they make money and keep it rather than spending it here. So that has become a problem. And also, as you mentioned earlier, there are three different departments pointing fingers to each other, which makes it difficult for us as advocates to advocate anything. Because like one person say this, approve, this side don't approve, this, so you're back to square one.
Yeah. So maybe association like the Malaysian Ecotourism Association should actually play some role. Pressure coming from the association, from the NGOs. You have the Sahabat Alam Malaysia, and groups of environmental bodies have to do the push as well to make sure that the government realizes that, hey, this is something that we really need to do something about it. Or else it's just talk, and if there is they don't see the benefit economically, they are not going to push this. Yeah, that's the challenge. That's the reality at the ground. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for your insightful engagements. That concludes our discussions for today. We'd like to thank Prof. Vic for your insightful sharing. I think, and we hope you enjoy your remaining sessions for the Global Tourism Conference this evening. I think there's a lot of interesting, exciting activities. That's all for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Witness-Warren, for the enlightening speech, and to Dr. Siti Luyandi for moderating this session.